this coverage. Again, assignment 5, the so-called precise temperature converter. We are saying that we want to do the conversions from different temperature systems or temperature scales, right? Celsius and Fahrenheit. We could also use Kelvin and other scales that exist, but those are very popular, right? The weatherman uses them. So, so we'll be using real numbers, which is yet another name for fractional numbers or numbers with decimal points. And the proposition is to create a method named centigrade to Fahrenheit and backwards, the two methods to create. They will be taking a value, right? And they will be converting it to a different scale and printing the result. Now, you have to use the BigDecimal class because the user is supposed to be able to specify the rounding scale or the precision level, whatever you name it. And so you set the initial one to 2, but then you should be able to give user an option and tell them, would you like to make a change and change the scale to 4 or something else. And then, of course, it says, basically it says all big decimals in your program should use half-up rounding. So just a very simple, which, by the way, in many scientific applications, this is the type of rounding that is being used, half-up, right? Because typically there, it's not that we're attempting to accumulate those results like over thousands of times. Usually it's one particular formula that gets computed, and the result has to be rounded, and in that case, just half-up is the approach. That's what many scientific instruments actually are using in the approach of rounding. All right, so so make sure that the rounding scale is a parameter configurable by the user. And then all the time just use this particular rounding mode. And of course, when we say, when we create those variables, they have to be big decimal numbers. By the way, it's your responsibility to go to an online source and find a formula for this type of conversion. I don't think I'm specifying a formula in this particular handout. I'm just giving you an example, is that if you want to ask user for the to convert centigrade to Fahrenheit, then you ask for that particular scale. And so if they type 25.56, that should result in the Fahrenheit temperature 78.00. Okay. So the user interface. The program has to come up and give user choices, right? The choices should be set temperature range. I want you to kind of figure out a way to say, so to ask the user to provide the temperature range. If they type something in outside of the temperature range, you should warn them or reject the input. Then they should be able to change the rounding scale. It's like a little menu. And then, so if someone chooses to change the rounding scale, then they can input it, and your program remembers it. Then you can convert Fahrenheit to Celsius and vice versa, and you can also exit the program. And so I'm asking you to actually keep them in the menu, so that they make a choice, they do something what they want, and you print the menu again. So we continuously loop until they choose to exit the program. Now let me save this. I don't